very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 10th installment of our NGPA Up in the Air webinar series. My name is Brian Gambino, president of the NGPA, and I'm so happy you could all join us. We've taken a break from our Up in the Air webinars, and we're so happy to be back now and bringing this content direct to your Zoom screens as we continue to be in this time apart. Following the COVID-19 pandemic, as we are starting to kind of round things out and return to a bit of normalcy. But we're so happy you are here to join us. Like I said, my name is Brian Gambino. I'm president of the NGPA, and the NGPA is the largest LGBTQ aviation nonprofit in the world, with over 2,500 members and over 26 chapters across the globe. We have over 31 years of history here now at the NGPA, where we were founded in 1990. And we've grown in support of the LGBTQ aviation community worldwide. From our events that we're known very well for, including this Up in the Air webinar series, to the advocacy work we do for our members and assisting companies across the aviation space, to the support we offer our members in creating an NGPA family that is strong, that is supportive, that guides people along their careers within aviation, and gives them maybe a family that they might not have because of their sexual orientation, gender expression, and/or identity. So like I said, thank you for joining us here in the Up in the Air webinar series, which has been a play on words for us here. Normally, NGPA gets together every year in Palm Springs, California, and we have what is the second largest aviation job fair type event. We call that our NGPA Industry Expo. Due to the pandemic itself, we weren't able to gather in Palm Springs this past February, so we decided to kick off this Up in the Air webinar series where we're sitting down on a regular basis with leadership and members of different companies that support NGPA, as well as those who want to share information with the public regarding the pandemic era challenges which they are facing, the ways that they are kind of molding their company, molding their business practices to adapt to what the pandemic has brought the aviation industry, as well as plans for recovery. And I'm so happy to talk about the fact that we're in the recovery now. We are seeing such an incredible snap around from what was really sad days for aviation, now going more positive, trending more positively as a greater percentage of the US population becomes vaccinated, spread of the virus has really decreased, and people get back out to doing what they love to do, being with each other, making those connections. But we've been there through it all here with our Up in the Air webinar series, providing that space for these companies to bring about their message. And we're happy to continue that today. One big note before I go into today's featured guest, I do want to talk about our NGPA scholarship program. In our 31-year history, we have always been so proud of the fact that across our membership, we have been able to raise funds, raise money, and make partnerships with organizations and companies who wanted to diversify their own workforces. And they have been able to provide us money, along with the member donations, to support a scholarship program. In 1998, NGPA did release our very first scholarships, offering 2 scholarship awards totaling $4,000. So we offered 2 $2,000 scholarships back in 1998. And we have worked very hard to grow that program over the years. And I'm happy this year in 2021, in a year when we thought we might have been kind of fledgling to put together a scholarship program due to the downturn in support we've seen across aviation companies and across our membership due to the hard times the COVID pandemic brought. We're so happy that we are exceeding all expectations. And actually this year, we're proud to give away our 200th scholarship award in 2021. And this year alone, we'll be giving our largest monetary offering of $156,000 of scholarships to aviation hopefuls. A couple of requirements for NGPA scholarship program. Number one, the scholarship program opened up on June 15th, and applications are available on our website. You can head to www.ngpa.org/scholarships. You can check out all the different information there, as well as the link to apply now. And that apply now link will bring you to all of the offerings that we have this year, as well as very specific requirements for each of the scholarships that we are offering. The one and only uniform requirement for all of our scholarships is that you must be a member of NGPA. And anyone can be a member of NGPA. We welcome everyone across the LGBTQ plus community, and that plus community does include our allies. So you do not need to identify as LGBTQ yourself to be a member of NGPA. We have a great ally membership offering, and we encourage you all to support an organization which works very hard to ensure that barriers are broken down, that diversity, equity, inclusion is brought to all aviation spaces, and we continue to make aviation inclusive for all. So ngpa.org in the top right-hand corner, you can hit the Join Now button. Check out the different memberships we offer, student memberships, individual memberships, ally memberships. Please join us, please support us, and then you are eligible to apply to any of our NGPA scholarships. When you go to the Apply Now section, you'll see the different offerings that we do have for 2021, and there might be some more specific requirements for each scholarship that is published on our website. So please do make sure you read those carefully, you read them thoroughly, and make sure your applications are in no later than August 31st. Again, $156,000 on offer this year for our NGPA scholarship program. Can't wait to get your applications. Once the application window does close, we have an incredible team of volunteers, our scholarship selection committee, who will be pouring through the endless applications that we do receive for our scholarship program, and they'll be making their selections no later than November of this year. Onwards and upwards we go with today's webinar. Today's featured guest is Republic Airways and Lift Academy. Republic Airways is a part of the Republic Holdings family, and it was founded back in 1998. The company Republic does trace its routes back to routes. I'm thinking in airline logic here. The company traces its roots back to Chautauqua Airlines, which was founded back in 1973 in Jamestown, New York. Republic Holdings has operated multiple subsidiaries under the Republic Holdings company, such as Chautauqua, Shuttle America, Mid-Atlantic Airways, and even Frontier. All of those have been a part of the Republic Airways Holdings and family of airlines at one time or another. Republic now operates a fleet of almost 200 Embraer 170 and 175 aircraft that are in service for Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and American Airlines. We're also joined by Republic's partner, and that's Lift Academy. Lift stands for Leadership in Flight Training and was founded in 2018 as the only flight school owned and operated by an airline. Their concept was simple then, and it's still simple now, and that's to make pilot training a more attainable prospect and an opportunity which was affordable compared to other avenues of pilot training, which we all know is very expensive. They also strive to be a one-of-a-kind offering, which provided direct classroom to flight deck opportunities. Joining us today to talk about Republic and to talk about Lift Academy and the real groundbreaking work that they have done in breaking down the barriers to the access for flight training is someone who worked at Republic, started as Republic as a first officer back in 2012, transitioned into the training environment at Republic in 2013, and then took a step up into flight ops management positions in 2014, and now is the Associate Director of Flight Operations and Safety for Lift Academy, and that's Ed Bagden. Ed, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for talking about Republic, thanks for talking about Lift, and thanks for supporting NGPA. Lift and Republic have been outstanding supporters of NGPA with traces of sponsorship to NGPA at the gold level and now platinum level, going back well over 5 years. We appreciate the support you've given us before, appreciate the support you've given us now, and welcome to our Up in the Air webinar series. Really excited to talk with you today. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks so much, Brian. I'm super excited to talk to you and your members today as well. And we are so happy at Lift and Republic to be able to partner with your organization. I think that the work that you do is really important, and I hope that it's something we get to continue to do long into the future. So really looking forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. I hope for that as well. And I didn't say it in the beginning, and I meant to. You can see my background. We have airplanes, and we have the Pride flag. Happy Pride, everyone. June is Pride Month, which is really not a celebration of the LGBTQ community being LGBTQ, but rather, and that's often misconstrued. So I just want to say it for our members who are here now. Pride Month is more a celebration of LGBTQ people being embraced, LGBTQ people being able to be their authentic selves and gaining the same acceptance and gaining the same rights as those who do not identify as LGBTQ have had for quite some time. So Pride Month is a time to recognize the struggles that have happened in the past and the great advances that the LGBTQ community has made both in local governments and federal governments and for rights in workplaces. And Republic and Lift have been absolutely outstanding supporters, not only of the organization, but of the whole entire LGBTQ community. So Ed, happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
I turn it over to you. You walk us through everything that you want to get there information-wise to those who are tuning in today and to those who will be listening both on our NGPA podcast as well as our recording of this Up in the Air webinar.
For sure. So, talking about providing opportunities, right, takes me back to kind of the core mission when we were starting Lift Academy in late 2017, early 2018. And really what it came down to was breaking down barriers to entry for individuals into the aviation profession. So at Lift Academy, primary portion of our students are in flight training, aspiring to be airline pilots. We also train maintenance technicians through an apprenticeship program. So really creating opportunity for individuals is what we're all about. And there's a lot of barriers to entry into aviation. Like you mentioned earlier, a big portion of it is finances, right? Flight training's expensive. And, in order to address that, we've created an incredible value proposition with the help of Republic Airways and subsidizing the cost of pilot training and providing really an all-inclusive price where when you sign up, you know what you're signing up for. And there's not a bunch of, hidden fees and added hours that are going to make your training become a lot more expensive than we advertised. But beyond just the cost, when we look at the flight deck, it historically has not been a very diverse place, whether it's gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, age. I mean, yeah, age perhaps can be diverse, but otherwise it's not a diverse place. And that was part of our core mission from day one, was setting out and helping make Lyft an inclusive place for all aspiring aviators to become part of the family here. So that has been something that we've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort on. And while we're proud of what we've accomplished to date, it's something that's an ongoing process, and something that we're going to need to work on ourselves and with our partners in industry, such as yourself, to continue to achieve what we set out to do.
And I know how much that is appreciated not only by our organization, but also our peer organizations at Women in Aviation, Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals, Latino Pilots Association, Professional Pilots of Tomorrow, Professional Asian Pilots Association, Sisters of the Sky. All of these organizations work with the common goal to, again, breaking down those barriers. And it's companies like Lyft and Republic, as well as others that support these peer organizations, who really are incredible voices and incredible allies to all of our minority group communities to push that diversity, to push that awareness. And so much of the barriers to getting into flying doesn't always reside on the financial. And you mentioned it, the financial aspect of getting into aviation is great. When I started back in 2003, my flight training, it was something that I wanted to do for so long. Did some initial flight, introductory flights, but it wasn't something me nor my family could afford. And we had to focus everything towards the college experience and pushing all of the federal money I could get and whatnot through different scholarships and grant programs into doing what was always my passion. But it's not just finances that present a barrier. Other barriers are presented exactly by what you said, is that the flight deck has never been a very diverse place. It's a very homogenous place, if you will. It has always been dominated by a certain gender and by a certain race. And there's no problem with that specifically. The problem is that because of the persona that created, because of the idea that created, anyone who was different than that group that dominated the industry would look into that and say, oh, that's not a place for me. My passion needs to be put aside. It's not something I can do. And that's the reason why these different organizations, and I know I'm not preaching to you, I'm just, sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox here. I'm just making sure that there's greater awareness for those who are listening, that these organizations exist not to only advance people who associate with that peer group, but rather to break down the barriers for all different groups who looked into areas that they wanted to go and said, no one reflects what I look like. No one reflects things that I accept. So that's not a place for me. And I mean, honestly, those groups actually said, hey, this isn't a place for certain other groups. I witnessed it. And both of us, it's hard for us to really get up on the soapbox completely because just, I mean, looking at us, we're both white males, Ed, and it's hard for us to do that, but it takes people like us, and it takes people like our other corporate sponsors and our other folks, and those who are joining us here on the webinar who have those inclusive mindsets and whatnot to help break down those barriers. So thank you for being an ally. Thank you all for listening in and being an ally. I'm done. I get very passionate about this, so sorry.
I love it. It's a passion of mine as well. And I was so fortunate, when I was working at Republic to be able to join this project early on, because once I learned, what Lyft was truly about, it wasn't just about training pilots, but it was about changing, the way the cockpit looks, changing who's occupying those positions. I had to be a part of it. So, I'm really fortunate to be doing what I'm doing today. And, when I think out to the future and I think about a more diverse cockpit and a more diverse, hangar with maintenance personnel, that makes the proposition of diversity a lot easier, right? Because people get to look up front when they're traveling from place to place and they see people that look like them. But like you said, that's oftentimes not the case today. So, part of our job is getting out into the community, right? And not just us, myself and our team and our admissions team, but our students and our instructors, right? getting out there and talking to people and talking to them about the opportunities that exist. We do that as an organization in a number of different ways. A really fun way we do it is with a thing we have called the Lift Lab. And it's a truck that we drive around. We take it to STEM fairs, we take it to urban schools, we take it all over the place. We take it to Oshkosh typically. And it's a truck that has virtual reality flight simulators in the back. It's about a 5-minute experience, but you sit down and a virtual instructor kind of walks you through flying one of our aircraft around the Lake Tahoe area. It's very beautiful. And they go in, fly through some kind of circles in the sky, and then land. And what I love about that is it allows someone, through virtual reality to feel like they're sitting in the captain's seat, feel like they're sitting in the left seat of an airplane flying it. And a lot of times those are people that literally had never imagined themselves doing that. And by reaching out and providing that kind of actualization for that experience, it's transformative, and it really can ignite a spark in someone who had never thought about that before. But when we talk about getting out into the community as well, a lot of what we do at Lyft to build camaraderie, to build leadership, to build skills outside of what the FAA publishes in the ACS is through corporate and community responsibility. So getting involved in the community. This is something that Republic and now Lyft have done historically for many years. But what I've seen change a lot in more recent times is engaging with the associates and the employees more to understand what's important to them. What groups do they want to support? And how can we help our employees actually guide our giving as an organization? So I think that that's really fantastic to be able to find the things that people are most passionate about, what means the most to them, and allow that to guide what we do as an organization regarding corporate responsibility and giving. So that's wonderful. Another great thing about those programs is that it really helps develop leadership competencies for our associates and for our students. So getting out there, working in the community, volunteering is an amazing way to build leadership competencies. And we know that, obviously every captain in the world is a leader, a first officer is a leader, a flight instructor is a leader. And having those skills is so important. And for those that, aspire to do things beyond simply staying in the cockpit, like getting involved in an organization such as yours, leadership is so important. So, it's in our name, and it's something that we try to foster at all times.
Awesome. So I'm interested to know what would be if someone was on the outside looking for a place to go to do their flight training. They have the dreams and aspirations ultimately that would lead them to an airline flight deck. What would you say, or what would you do to kind of give someone in a nutshell what Lyft Academy is all about and the progression that they can expect from signing on with Lyft to where their career will ultimately end up?
Sure. So, students are able to apply online at our website, which is flywithlyft.com. After applying, they'll actually come into the academy, meet with our recruiters, go through kind of a in-person interview, because you have to remember that when a student's accepted into Lyft, when they successfully complete their training as a student and as an instructor, they're going to be a first officer and a future captain at Republic Airways. So really that student interview is also kind of your interview for the airline. So it's really important that we find the right people who are a good cultural fit for our organization. So it starts with the interview. We also do some aptitude testing for our applicants to kind of test some basic aptitudes to ensure that, when they trust us with, providing the training and the opportunity for them, that it's a good fit for them. Beyond that, they'll come join us, go through orientation and then start training. With 0 hours, obviously, they'll go through private, instrument, and commercial. But one thing that makes our training pretty special is that where we started with everything here was taking the best practices that we've learned over decades as an airline in training pilots and distilling as much of that as possible down into the primary training environment. So really, our students are learning a lot of advanced competencies as they move through our training course, private, instrument, commercial, CFI, and ultimately they'll build some time instructing with us to reach ATP minimums and then transition directly into a class at Republic. We recently had our first class of our homegrown students head over to Republic, and what I'm absolutely thrilled about is talking to some of my colleagues at the airline, whether they're sim instructors or folks who work in the training department. I'm just hearing wonderful things about how prepared these applicants were when they showed up. They already knew the taxi briefing, the departure review, the takeoff briefing, the approach briefing. They knew all the call outs for the instrument approach procedures because they're the same at Lyft as they are at Republic. And to kind of build those skills in earlier, I think it makes the primary training maybe a little more difficult, but learning it as a primary skill really leads to fantastic outcomes on the other end. Um, and just to again reemphasize, a student who signs up at Lyft knows that if they work hard and they dedicate themselves to their training, that at the end of all of that, there's a job waiting for them flying the Embraer 170, 175 at Republic. And when you're investing so much as you do in flight training, having that kind of that confidence and that promise at the end is really something special that we're able to provide.
That's awesome. I can definitely. Well, I'm going to cover two things here. Number one, Ed, as a pilot yourself, and me as a pilot in the airline world as well, I can't tell you how jealous I am of people who are coming up through flight training right now. That none of this was offered. It was go figure it out on your own, and there may or may not be a job for you in the airlines when you get out, but we hope there is. So I'm very jealous. I also want to fly the what did you call it? The Liftmobile? What did you call it?
The Lift Lab.
The Lift Lab. I like Liftmobile as well. So if you think of any marketing branding changes on that, I would like my name to be plastered on the side.
Noted.
The Liftmobile. Um, no, but that's really cool. Like to have that opportunity, just to see a Lift Lab coming into town or going into different areas and whatnot, and having that opportunity to get in and have that experience, which may turn you on to something that you never knew you had interest in. I think that's a really ingenious way to foster the love for aviation across folks who never even thought of it as a possibility. I lived under the arrival route for Kennedy Airport growing up. That is what fostered my love. I had zero aviation background within my family, and I was like the weird kid who just loved airplanes as a kid because I was just always pointing up at them. So that was what got me interested. But to have something like that Lyft and Republic is offering, like the Lyft Lab, is super cool. And I can also attest to the fact that the intensive training that is so in line with what you will be experiencing when you do move on to your first flight deck Part 121 airline job is so important. I went to a university way back when that also focused checklist usage, that focused call out usage based upon an airline that they had a partnership with. And yes, it made training more intensive in the moment, but it made my transition into the airline space and going from a plane that was doing 100 knots to a plane that was doing 250 to 310 knots less of a scary experience and less of a I'm hanging to the horizontal stabilizer experience while I'm supposed to be up in the flight deck. So that type of training is so important, and I think really attests to, well, not really, it does attest to the fact that oftentimes I know there's such a big focus on quantity of hours is equivalent to quality of training, but that's so not true. Quality of training always far exceeds quantity of hours, I believe, in terms of totality of experience. So no, that's great that that is offered.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're sitting at about 80,000 hours of flight training hours so far, about 3 years into our business. And you know, quality is something that is an absolute focus for myself and my team. And that's something that I've been really happy with. And I think that we see that, by focusing on more earlier, you really get some great outcomes. And when you look at things like, check ride pass rates and, written pass rates, we're absolutely industry leading, which helped us get examining authority to be able to conduct private instrument and commercial check rides in-house after 2 years in business, which is the absolute regulatory minimum there. So that would be another thing that I would like to emphasize about what we do at Lyft is provide, really high quality training that is also backed up by the data. So that's really important. And that's coming from a fellow, no prior generation of aviation guy that spent all of his childhood and adulthood looking up at the sky. So.
And I still do. I was on an overnight. I won't tell it. Well, no, I'm gonna say I was on an overnight in Cabo the other day, and literally sitting outside. And every time we were near the airport, every time I heard a plane, I still looked up. As a 36-year-old pilot in the airlines after 14 years, I still look up. It is a passion that never leaves you, sadly. And we make fun of it sometimes, our own passion, but it is a passion that'll never leave us. And everyone in the airline world and aviation world in general will always look up when they hear that. For everyone who's joining us here on the webinar, you'll see down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box. Please feel free to drop any questions into the Q&A box, and I will address them directly here with Ed, whether they be about flight training, whether they be about Lyft Academy or Republic Airways. We'll do our best to answer your questions and cover some of that material. Ed, other things that you want to tell us about maybe some of the DEI efforts that have happened across Lyft and that are happening across Republic to continue to break those barriers and maybe change some mindsets of employees who are already on property at both Republic and Lyft.
Sure. So at Republic and Lyft, just like when we look at the pointy end of an airplane and we often don't see that much diversity, we have the same challenges or opportunities in leadership roles at Republic and at Lyft. When we look at airlines and the leadership structure, especially in upper management, I think oftentimes we see a lot of the same demographics that we do in the front of airliners. So, fostering diversity and growing diversity in leadership roles is something that's really important to us here at Lyft. I've worked on teams in the past where there were a lot of people that were very much the same, and it lends itself to groupthink so easily. And at Lyft, I've had the wonderful opportunity of building a remarkably diverse team, and it has been the greatest thing that any leader could ever be presented with, is having differing thought, different backgrounds, different experiences. Because when it comes to solving problems and growing an organization and working on strategy, having diversity is just absolutely critical. So, as an organization, that's something we're really focusing on. So, identifying individuals, who are interested in growth and development, and providing them with professional development and opportunities to build their skill set, build themselves professionally, become the best version of themselves, to become our future leaders and to move through the organization is something that's incredibly important to us right now, and a huge focus at our collective organizations.
Awareness and visibility are such great impetus for evolution, for evolving practices across the company, and whatnot. Without that visibility, without that awareness of what policies or practices might not be inclusive, without getting people in who can shed some light on that, there won't be evolution. And the focus on companies right now is really great, focusing on getting that visibility, gaining that awareness, and bringing on folks who can help with the evolution of the company is extremely important. And we're seeing that across all different aspects of aviation, both at the university level, at the airline level, business aviation. Business aviation has been in an area that has been very secluded from exposure to different types of people, different cultures. And so there's great strides being made in business aviation as well. So all positive trends that we're seeing, and I'm happy to know that is such a focus both within Lyft and Republic. I do have a question that came in for you, Ed, and it's in regards to application to Lyft Academy. Can you talk us through application requirements for Lyft? Are non-US citizens permitted to apply and to be accepted into the program? Are there any sponsorships that may be offered in terms of attaining any type of work visa or permit to be in the United States?
Sure, great question. As of today, it's US citizens and permanent residents. So we do not train people who are not citizens or permanent residents at this time. Should that change, obviously, we'll be putting that on the website, and I'm sure we would be happy to share that on things like social media. But kind of due to our current structure, that is how we conduct our training.
Now, I'm going to follow up, and you can tell me that you're not able to answer this question. I'm putting you on the spot here. What do you think with with the known fact that pilot shortage was here, COVID happened, so everyone's like, oh, okay, we just bought another year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years on that, but it's becoming very clear that we actually bought zero time, and we actually put ourselves backwards with the amount of people that exited from the aviation space over the past year. Do you think that things might change in the international space? Well, we need to look outside of the US for the future pilots, to cover all the needs that aviation will have here in the United States. Yeah, that could be a personal response as well, or maybe something that's being talked about across your company.
For sure. I would say that, as in my role at Lyft, that question is super above my pay grade. But whether or not we'll have to look outside of the country, I think that's to be determined. I think that's something that's really promising, is seeing programs like ours where airlines are making real investments in pilot development and providing training pathways for aspiring aviators. I think that shows that there's an awareness and also action being taken. And I think, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention United in their Aviate program. That's another exciting opportunity. And look, Lyft is not here to solve the pilot shortage, ourselves. What we're looking to do is to provide highly trained, well qualified, you know, direct entry, basically first officer candidates into the airline. Looking at how short upgrade times are becoming, we think it's more important than ever to provide as much training as possible as early on in a pilot's career as possible. We want to ensure that when our first officers become captains at Republic, they're absolutely completely prepared for that opportunity. So I think that is another great advantage that we provide here. But again, at Lyft, we are not looking to solve the pilot shortage, but as long as airlines continue to make decisions and continue to make investments in building our own pilots here in the United States, I think that that's really promising and something that we haven't seen in the recent past. So yeah, I mean, certainly we are acutely aware of the pilot shortage, and I think that probably early on, like you said, we thought that it might buy us some time, but when it was all said and done, we're right back where we started, or maybe a little worse off. So
Yeah, we might be we need butter now, and we haven't even started churning in some aspects. If that's an analogy I could make, because we stopped for quite some time.
absolutely, a call I'd like to make to your members and your listeners, your viewers on here is how important it is for current pilots to talk to others about the profession. And when we step back and think about what we do, how amazing it is, right? How great of a job it is, and how wonderful it is to be able to do it. I think that especially with a group like NGPA, being able to advocate to others, to be that example of somebody who has gone out and done it. When we think about the next generation, we talk about solving the pilot shortage. Not all of that is going to be solved by young people and upcoming people, maybe in high school and graduating and thinking about what they want to do next, but a large portion of it will be. So it's really important that we're out there, that we're talking to friends and family and community and those that we meet, and identifying people that might be a good fit for the career, and really advocating for the opportunity that it presents. I think that that's really important, and that's kind of my call out to your membership and your viewership.
Well, I love a good call out, and I appreciate you doing that. We echo your call in the same regard. I mean, that the focus of our organization, obviously, to continue breaking down those barriers and to continue to advocate for the community and whatnot. So we definitely echo that. If you could you walk us through maybe some of the, say I'm interested, say I apply, say I'm accepted into Lyft, how do I pay for it? Do you have connections with financial institutions and whatnot to assist students who come into the program with financing? Is there any offers from Republic itself in helping finance the training as well? I guess just walk us through the easiest way to make that dream become a reality.
Sure. So we do work with financing partners for those that need to pursue that path or choose to pursue that path. We help them navigate the application process. If they need a co-borrower, we help them identify that and work through it and try to secure the financing that they need to pay for training. Additionally, Republic does offer a subsidy on each student's cost of training, which really does help drive down the cost of training, which really has been the thing more than anything that has helped make our program so, I want to say competitive, but it's not really competitive with, the other large flight training institutions in the country, because the value proposition that we present is remarkable. And while we're presenting what is really the lowest cost training program in the country, we're also providing incredible quality with a brand new fleet of DA-40 and DA-42 aircraft, with a beautiful training facility, with our own in-house developed computer-based training modules. We're not using an off-the-shelf product. We build our own modules with video and rich content to ensure that at-home students are able to study and learn, and then come in and back that up in the classroom, and then take all that into the simulator and into the airplane, taking a building block approach to ensuring the success of our students.
And that probably, I'm sure those in-house training programs are probably very much correlated to the type of training that students will see when they move onwards to Republic.
Absolutely, yeah. And across the portfolio of what we do here, we really use a lot of the same products. So our computer-based training developed delivered using the same software we use at Republic. But beyond that, you talk about things like safety programs. At airlines, you're familiar with ASAP, right? At Lyft, we have the exact same program, except we call it the VSRP. We use the same reporting software that they use at Republic, and we actually have our instructors participating in the event review committee, getting like actionable real world experience, reviewing reports, recommending corrective actions back to our department or other departments throughout the organization, which is just another thing that helps prepare them for their future career at the airline. Should they want to get involved outside of the cockpit to work on a labor group safety committee, they're getting that real world experience built using the same philosophies and trained through the airline right here at Lyft, which I think, again, incredible opportunity, something pretty unique, and at the end of the day just allows us to have an airline grade SMS safety program at the part 141 part 61 level.
That's having that experience early on is definitely helpful as you continue to move on in your career, and understanding the different safety reporting tools and best ways to ensure that you are assisting with a greater level of safety for future aviators past you and also those that you're flying with, to come to a greater learning about things that might be affecting them as well. Ed, we have a question on the Republic side of the house in regards to future hiring at Republic. Can you share any information that you might have of when Republic might be starting new hire classes, and if there will be any of those infamous signing bonuses that were around pre-COVID?
Well, as far as new hire classes, they are underway. Like I said, we actually had some Lyft pilots transition over to Republic about a month and a half ago, which was fantastic. And we continue to transition our students over into the Republic classes. But with that being said, Lyft students are not filling the entire class. They are a portion of the class, but the rest of the classes are being fulfilled with our traditional routes of recruiting and hiring at the airline. So that is underway today. Regarding signing bonuses, I cannot answer that question. I apologize. I don't know.
That's fair. A signing bonus is another thing I'm jealous of. Well, this is going to become the Brian Gambino jealousy segment. Jealousy is not good. Green of envy is not good at anyone. So I have to remember that. Another question we have in regards to restricted ATP minimums. Sarvesh asks, for those who are not yet 21 years old, but have met all of the restricted ATP minimums, can they be hired before they're 21, assuming they turn 21 while in a new hire class? I'm guessing that is for Republic directly.
These are fantastic questions. And I wish I had, Lauren or Aaron back on the phone from Republic that we talked to earlier. But regarding the RATP minimums, I apologize that I can't answer that question for you, but let me figure out a good way to get you an answer to that.
Sorry to put you on the spot with those.
No, it's good. I mean, this is a co-branded meeting here, so hopefully we can get those answers to the people that have them.
And if you have direct connection to Lauren Aaron and they want to come back up, you let us know and we can make that happen.
Will do. I'm peering over my monitor here to the chat window to see if I'm getting any intel.
Sure. In the meantime, you talked about the first group of Lyft students who have transitioned now to the flight deck at Republic, and that's definitely something to be very proud of. And they're the first students that started back in 2018 with the founding of Lyft. Is the 3-year turnaround time from starting off your training to entering a Republic flight deck, is that normal when you set up the actual schedule of training to schedule a timeline of when they think you're going to make it through? Is 3 years normal, or is that fairly fast? Or do you think things are sped up now that there's a lot more oomph behind the Lyft program with some experience behind the program as well?
So our target really is 2.5 years from 0 hours to the right seat. With about a year in training, working through private instrument commercial, CFI, II, and multi-engine, and then about a year and a half instructing to build that time. So 2.5 years is target. 3 years is where we landed with the first group. Obviously, brand new organization, a lot of growth going on. Plus, you throw a global pandemic in the mix, and it added about 6 months on. But our target, and we're confident we'll be able to achieve it, is 2.5 years from 0 hours to the airline class.
Okay, cool. And now, in terms of, is it a one price fits all, if you will, in terms of training, or do you pay within Lift Academy? Are there charges per flight that you take, per flight hour, or is it a set price for each rating and certificate?
So it is a fixed cost based on a set amount of hours. Now we don't target those hours at the FAA minimums. You know, for a private pilot under Part 141, the minimum is 35 hours. We buffer a significant amount over that, and we actually based it on averages for our student groups to date, and then put some time on top of that to account for a little additional time. So that's included in the cost of the program. All check rides are included in the cost of the program. Written tests are included in the cost of the program. Really, there's no outside fees aside from the price that we advertise for the program. So that's kind of how it sets up. Now, if a person goes over the included hours, and those numbers are all made readily available by us, it's not a secret. It's not like hey, everything's included, and then you hit your 36th hour, and now you're getting charged $300 an hour for flying. It's all transparently listed on our website at flywithlift.com.
Cool. We talked about financing before, and then financing the cost of training. And I'm going to make another call out to our NGPA scholarship program.
Absolutely.
We have partnered this year. This is the first time we've been partners with Lyft and Republic for many years. They've been sponsoring our organization, but this year they're adding to that, and they're investing further in NGPA membership. In that Republic and Lyft is offering two $3,000 scholarships for advanced flight training. So check it out on our website, ngpa.org/scholarships, or ngpa.org/apply now, and you can go directly to the scholarship listings. And we have two $3,000 scholarships up for grabs, sponsored by our friends at Republic and Lyft, that can go towards advanced flight training programs at a school of your choice. It does not need to be completed at the Lyft Academy, which is another great offering as part of it. We appreciate that. And so check that out. And again, appreciate that support that Lyft and Republic continues to send towards our NGPA membership. I think you covered this before. There's a question that we got via email. I'll just repeat it, but you pretty much did cover this. If I don't do my training at Lyft, do I still have an opportunity to work for Republic Airways? And I believe you kind of said that's a yes, they're normal recruiting aspects, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I mean, at Republic, we draw our pilots from a number of exceptional flight training, organizations throughout the country. We will continue to do so. A portion of the pilots at Republic are provided by Lyft, but many of the pilots that get hired at Lyft train elsewhere.
And then, are you doing any types of reach out, like to maybe youngsters, like going into the high school realm? And I think with your Lyft Lab, that's a perfect opportunity that you're having to get people involved or interested in aviation. Do you have any other specific programs that you're beginning to target a younger audience to get people interested in the flight training realm?
Absolutely. We've partnered with a number of schools today, pretty much in the state of Indiana, where we're located, but to try to get aviation curriculum into the high school classroom. In some cases, we've helped provide flight simulation training devices for the classroom, to provide a pathway, a 4-year curriculum where a student can go through there and be readily prepared, basically ready to go with a private pilot certificate to enter in with an instrument and lift straight out of high school and be on their way to a career at the airline. So getting involved at the high school level and the middle school level is super important to us, and something that we've made a huge investment in, really getting out there, because we know that for young people, it's important to give them the exposure early on so they can understand the industry, they can start learning about it, and that really helps lead them in the direction of aviation, should that be what they want to pursue. And when you're ready, once we've finished this topic, I did get an answer for one of the previous questions via Teams.
I'm ready.
So, applicants for Republic may be able to start the ATP CTP class prior to their 21st birthday, but not enter training prior to 120 or to age 21 at Republic. We do have ongoing classes multiple times a month, and recruiters can typically fit in applicants who have made it through the application process once they meet the age requirement with minimum lag time.
Okay, cool. So 21 is the hard requirement, even if you have the restricted ATP minimums, but you can be hired but not actually start a class until you hit that age 21.
That's right.
I'm just making sure that I heard that correctly.
That was it.
I got taught that from my father. He was a detective in the police department. Repeat things over again to make sure that you are consuming the correct information. Make sure
always a good policy. And any questions about anything at Republic regarding applications can be directed to careers at rjet.com, rjet.com.
Cool. And I'm going to drop that into the chat window here. Sarvesh, you betcha. He just said, thanks for the answer. He appreciates it. And it's careers, if I could spell careers correctly. There's two E's in career, at rjet.com. That's coming at you all now in the chat area. So any questions regarding hiring minimums and other things regarding Republic Airways, feel free to shoot an email that way. Thanks very much for getting that information for us, Ed.
Absolutely.
You talked about Indianapolis, Indiana, where things are based out of. So on that topic there, with Lift Academy being based there and training happening there, what is the housing situation if you were to be accepted into Lift Academy? Is housing included within the pricing? Is there assistance with housing? How does that all work out?
It's a great question. Housing is not included in the cost of the program. We do not provide housing. However, we do work with different housing providers around the airport and around the training facility to kind of partner with them to make it an easy process for people to find somewhere to live, which also has the peripheral benefit. You know, you've been in the hotel at the airline in initial training. Group studying can be really helpful, right? So kind of moving into some of these lift heavy housing projects or housing locations provides an opportunity for the students to, work together offsite at the academy to study together. And we also provide a Slack server, Slack channels for our incoming students to be able to talk to existing students, instructors, and other incoming students to try to work together to solve some of the housing situations.
Cool. Thank you. There's another question here on the Republic side. I'm going to throw it in your direction. Do you know, Corey's asking if someone already has time on the Embraer family of aircraft, whether it be 170, 175, or 145, is Republic currently, or will there be any direct entry captain positions being offered in the future?
To date, Republic has not offered direct entry captain positions, and I have not heard anything about it for what that's worth.
Copy. And Corey, if you have further questions about that, just like we typed in the box there, careers@rjet.com, and the team within Republic Recruiting will be happy to get back to you with information on that as well. So Ed, anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners and those of us who are live on the webinar here about Lift and the journey that one may take when joining Lift, the training that they'll receive, and the career opportunities that they have because of Lift?
Sure. I think that, we've talked about the technology, we've talked about the pathway, we've talked about the cost, but one thing that makes Lift unique, and it's a thing that makes Republic unique as well, is truly the people and the culture. So, we know that flight training and airline flying, there's ups and there's downs, right? There's times where things are great and things are fun and things are easy, and there's times where things are really hard. I have seen the students, the instructors, and the rest of the staff and associates at Lift really support each other extensively during our time in business and our time operating. And I think that that's really something that sets our training program apart from others. When I think about training programs I've been a part of in the past, or things that I've experienced, or things that I've been around, I think our culture is unique. And whether it's a meeting we have, or a gathering we have as a group, or getting out in the community and volunteering together, or just simply, seeing people spending time together in the lobby or out in the hangar at the picnic tables when the weather's nice outside. There's a wonderful camaraderie at our association. It really does cross boundaries of, gender and age and sexual orientation and race. And I see such diverse groups working together. And I think that that's really special. And that's something that I experienced at Republic. It's something that I saw grow while I was at Republic. And even with our pilots who left Lift and went over to Republic to join Republic as pilots, a couple of them stopped by last week. And something that really stuck with me was that it wasn't just that the checklists are the same, but it's that it feels the same. The culture feels the same at Republic as it does at Lift. And to me, that was, honestly, probably one of the best things I've heard to date, as somebody who's been with the organization since day one, that we've created a culture that makes them feel like part of the family, just like Republic does. And that transitioning from one place to the next is really one of the things that makes us very special.
And that's so good to hear. Culture, atmosphere, working relationships, working environment has such a direct reflection on a student or an employee's want to really work hard for what they're working towards or the company that they're working for. Creating those environments are very impactful, and that translates directly to the employee, and then that translates from the employee to customers. Direct intents to repurchase are what everyone in aviation should be bestowing upon customers who board aircraft. We want these customers to be back. Pilots, especially, I'll talk specifically to airline pilots. We have such a large part of the customer service experience for customers who board our aircraft, and we need to embrace that and not shy away from it. And creating a culture and creating a place where people are happy to come to work, creating a place where people feel empowered to make decisions is ridiculously beneficial to so many aspects, to the experience that other employees have, and ultimately to the experience that those customers have and their want to be back on those aircraft again, which ultimately will connect to, here's my wallet, which connects to everyone's wallet ultimately, because the more people on your planes for the company that you work for, the more money that comes your way, and the more successful that you and your company is going to be. So I just keep getting on some soapboxes here, don't I?
I love it. I think it's great. It's passion, right? And passion is so important. Kind of final thought I'd like to leave you with is just to plug the website and the social media. Again, it's flywithlift.com. Our social media handles are at flywithlift. And then on the airline side, it's at Republic Airways and rjet.com. So please check out our social. Please give us a follow. We post some pretty fun stuff on there on a regular basis. Got a great team working in social media. And please visit the website for Lyft if you're interested as a student. And if you're already a qualified airman, then please visit RJet and look into some career opportunities there.
Awesome. Well, Ed, thank you so much for sharing information about Lyft Academy, about Republic Airways with us today. And thank you for the work that you do to make the spaces within Lyft, to make the spaces within Republic a more open, a more inclusive, and a more diverse workspace. Everyone here at NGPA appreciates those efforts, and we certainly appreciate the partnership that we have built with Lyft and with Republic Airways. So thank you very much for being here, and thanks for all that you're doing.
Thanks. I look forward to our continued work together, and it's honestly my honor, my pleasure to be able to do it. I'm so lucky. You know, I never thought that when I signed up to become a pilot that I would have an opportunity to do such things, and I'm thankful for it every day. Are you going to be at Oshkosh this year?
NGPA will be at Oshkosh. I unfortunately will not. I am going to a training event with my airline, and then I have a wedding that was rescheduled. So I will not be at Oshkosh, sadly, but NGPA will be there. Check us out. We will have a booth at the at our normal place in our hangar, and we'll be hosting a gathering at one of our members' hangars on Friday of Oshkosh as well. Details of that will be sent out to our membership via email. So be sure to check out NGPA in the hangar, and we'll be on the lookout for Republic and Lyft as well.
Fantastic. We'll come find you when we're there. We're going to be at the Diamond exhibit, so please stop by.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Ed. To everyone who has joined us here at Up in the Air webinar today, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here at NGPA to show support for our organization. Highly encourage you to head to our website at www.ngpa.org. In the top right-hand corner, you can click the Join Now, and you can come be a part of our LGBTQ plus aviation worldwide community. Allies are such a strong part of our community, and we greatly appreciate your support and partnership. You can check us out next week. We'll be back here at NGPA's Up in the Air webinar at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be on Wednesday. That is June the 30th. We'll be sitting down with our friends at American Airlines to discuss the pandemic era challenges that have been facing that company, as well as their hopes and prospects for the recovery and the future over at American. You can register on our website at www.ngpa.org/up in the air. On behalf of our Ed at Lyft Academy and Republic Airways, on behalf of our entire NGPA Board of Directors and leadership team, thanks for joining us up in the air. We look forward to seeing you again. Until that time does come, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You'll have a great rest of your week. Ed, thanks so much. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brian. See ya.